So I think the temptation is when you start carnivore, the temptation is how can I make the things that I love on carnivore diet? And so we start the carnivore diet. We feel really good. We're having the steak. We're having all sorts of eggs and we're eating all the things that are making us feel good. And then we're like, let's switch things up a little bit. I'm having friends over. Let's do this. And so we start to make a lot of recipes. I noticed for myself that the more I started to use recipes on carnivore, and I'm talking recipes that frankly include a lot of richness. So you're going to have like a lot of heavy cream, a lot of cheeses, like making chaffles and making yourself a burger with a chaffle, which is just kind of like egg and cheese in a waffle format and you eat it as a burger. Anyway, the more I made that stuff, the more I was eating actually. And I noticed that my weight loss wasn't the same. So I feel leaner on the carnivore diet when I am eating red meats, eggs, some fish, butter, salt and water. And I know that might sound really boring to some people, but it's really, really hard to explain until you do it. It actually is not. Sometimes I'll have a little mustard and I'll dip my ribeye in the mustard, or sometimes I'll have, I don't know, some pickles on my ground beef. But those are two little small things that make carnivore flexible for me and add a little flavor. And honestly, I can eat the same thing every single day. I switch it up, of course, but I do think that keeping it simple, like this comment, is really important. And so the more you're trying to make recipes, the more you're trying to make the things that you love, like pizza or pasta or whatever in recipes, I think the harder it is because the more that you're eating higher calorie foods and, even having some dairy is going to potentially change your cravings. And so you'll just be hungrier. I know that when I was eating like yogurt before bed, I would have yogurt and then some protein powder in it. Sometimes that was okay. But then when I'm actually thinking about this again, when I was making protein pancakes with protein powder, I could eat like 5 servings. And so they weren't filling me up the same way because it's processed and it's in a powder form. And so it wasn't filling me up the same way that a ribeye would. And so the satisfaction after the meal, I just would keep snacking on it. And so then I noticed I was taking in more calories and I wasn't staying lean. So there is something to that. And if you need a reset on the carnivore diet, go back to this. If you're starting the carnivore diet, stay at this for a while. And then every once in a while, you're going to have to do a reset. And this is a normal ebb and flow that carnivores have. It's not perfect all the time. That is a fallacy. So if you see people saying that, it's not perfect all the time. You're going to eat a little bit too much dairy. You're going to eat a little too much cream. And then you're going to be like, all right, I got to reset again. You're going to kind of go off the rails a little bit and you're going to have to reset again. But that is life. That's everything. That's like my kids doing homework. That's like me keeping on top of the laundry. That is just life. It's not always perfect, but I do just want to give you the heads up that keeping it simple is going to give you better results and it's going to keep things easier for you in the long run.